He's a lawyer, he's a politician, and he's a community activist. And in this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with Seth Whipper about Dr. Nancy McGinley, politics, his life, and the death of his son. I want to refresh your memory. It was October 30th, around 1 p.m. I was at 75 Calhoun Street for a special session of the Charleston County School Board meeting regarding Dr. Nancy McGinley, and here you were. And I remember that particular time, and I'm wondering, do you remember that?
Almost. I have to think a little bit, but I think yeah, because I think we talked outside.
Right, we did.
That's right, we talked outside. Yeah, I remember.
And since that time, a lot of big stories have happened. So describe to me the following one word: gas tax.
Gas tax. So we're gonna have to have it, one way or another. Yeah. And I think it might happen this year.
Okay. Uber.
Yeah. Uber. It's gonna. Let's see what's gonna happen with Uber. I mean, Uber is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Will Uber change how we regulate public transportation in South Carolina? Maybe. Yeah. Because that's what will have to happen. Because Uber's not really a new idea.
Right. That's true.
I grew up riding things we used to call them hot taxi.
Okay.
So, but what happened is the hot taxi a lot of times got its customers from people who were standing at the bus stop.
That's right.
So let's see.
Domestic violence in South Carolina.
Bad situation. I think one of the ways we're going to have to make the changes is not on the back end where you punish, but on the front end where you educate. And we have to start talking about domestic violence now. We're going to have to start talking about it in late elementary school.
Yes. Governor Nikki Haley's State of the State address.
Political theater.
Governor Nikki Haley's inauguration.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, inauguration's always fun.
Yes, indeed.
I told somebody it's the best time I had losing all my life.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, walk with me down memory lane to Thursday, because it was when former Charleston County School District Superintendent Dr. Nancy McGinley really did an interview with Channel 2. And, when they asked her about her resignation, and she basically said, quote, "I truly did not expect to leave." Put on your thinking hat and tell me, after hearing "did not expect to leave," what did you tell yourself?
Well, I guess she thought that it wasn't the kind of incident that meant misconduct, or meant malfeasance, or even, ineptitude to the point that you would dismiss a superintendent of a school district. Especially when the values that were involved were ones that were really, really important to our society. And you have to admit she was on the right side, even if it may not have been the best managed, but she was on the right side of the values argument.
And so when asked whether she would like to have her old job back, Dr. Nancy McGinley told Channel 2, quote, "It's not in the cards." You say it.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes sense for it not to be in the cards. I mean, you have to understand that, we've made some strides, but there are a lot of things that we hadn't really done well with. And, a lot of the schools that are underperforming generally now are still underperforming. And it's like 5 years since the last rating, and they're still underperforming terribly. Yeah. So it makes sense to look at what we're doing when we talk about rehiring somebody. Right. But she wasn't. She was moving in the right direction. So I gotta admit that at the time that she was moving, we still have to say that, let's see what she's got planned will work. Yeah. But we know that it wasn't there yet. Yeah.
And speaking of rehiring, you talk about Coach Walpole during that particular time, Walpole, and something you had in mind was the call for his, firing as well. Yeah. And you basically told the city paper, quote, "The idea that anybody, it doesn't matter what race or group they belong to, that you can promote to humanity from somebody, and to do a ritual like that is really, if you've been around anything, it's really dangerous." So as we sit here right now, do you believe it's really dangerous to have Coach Walpole back in his old position?
Listen, and that's that's a real serious consideration when you get down to it, and that's why when we at the point that we are, what do we do going forward? We need to really make some real changes going forward, and of course he has to be a part of the reconciliation. And the reconciliation has to occur based on us understanding the truth of what we're doing.
And let's continue to talk about that because, as you know, he filed a lawsuit on behalf of the school district as well as.
I was really concerned about that, and I think that people misunderstand. There are a lot of folks who don't understand the whole diversity piece. They may have misunderstood the call for investigations by the Office of Civil Rights. And it certainly isn't a question of people of goodwill trying to take over and punish people necessarily. Well, let's say take over and not think about somebody else's feelings. It's not that at all. I think that at the point that we are now, we need to talk about each other's feelings. And so if we're really concerned about feelings, then you wouldn't file a lawsuit like that, because no lawsuits have been filed by people who've been in part of those press conferences. Anybody else, and there have been no lawsuits filed.
And since you are a state representative, have you been able to talk with the coach?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. And I was about to I talked with his attorney.
Okay.
And we had something set up. But since they filed these lawsuits, I kind of backed away and say, well, let's see what this means. I don't know what this means yet.
And let's turn to another big story that happened last year, and that is Bobby Harrell. Bobby resigned from the House, after 20 years for ethics violations.
Yes.
Let's put aside the facts for right now. Let's talk about Bobby Harrell, not the politician, but the person, really.
Yeah.
You worked with him for years.
Yeah.
Tell me, who's Bobby Harrell?
Well, Bobby Harrell is a very fortunate young man. He came from a family that's been hardworking and productive. His father was a very loving guy. I knew Mr. Harrell.
Right.
And he was a great guy. He was a former highway commissioner and a real Southern gentleman. Right. A real gentleman. And so that's where Bobby comes from. His mother is sweet as she could be. So that's where Bobby comes from, and he has some of that in him. Right. Of course, sometimes when we're the children, we don't understand how our parents got where they are. And I think maybe some of that might have happened with Bobby. Yeah. Because the kinds of things that occur in the situation where you've got money being used improperly, reports not being done, it's just some kind of, it's just like your mom and your dad reminding you, Quintin, make up your bed before you leave out of here. Right. Yeah, but when it happens on the stage, when you're a speaker, and you don't make up your bed, this is what can happen.
Another person that was involved with ethics violation is Robert Ford. You know Robert.
I know.
Tell me, how surprised were you when you heard that he was in charge with those ethics violations?
No, I wasn't surprised. And the reason I wasn't surprised is because I knew that Robert didn't work hard at managing it. Okay. But I didn't think it was going to be, I did not think there'd be any real, I thought it would be basically what you call no-fault violations. Yes. Where you didn't fix say you didn't fix your light cover on your back light. Right. When you stop, you just left it cracked. Those kinds of things. I really thought they would be easily explainable as just bookkeeping errors. Okay. I was surprised that they just kept getting bigger and bigger, and then there were these intentional, obvious misuses of funds where Robert, just like Bobby, he used the money for the wrong things. And it wasn't a matter of, well, I could have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't use my money, my campaign money to buy some stuff these guys were buying and spending money. Yeah. So, and you wouldn't either.
Not at all.
Not at all. So, and I think Robert, is I think Robert can be careless. Okay. To the extent of almost being reckless.
Oh wow. Yeah. And following his resignation in 2013, there were a lot of people who ran for a seat. Margaret Rush, Maurice Washington. Yeah. Even you.
Well,
at that point,
and I did consider it.
Right. Yeah.
But you got to understand this. I never thought that this thing would be, at the time that this happened, I never thought Robert would be in real trouble. I always thought it could be easily explained. And at least the money would be in the right category, but maybe not reported timely, or, there's some additional issues. Because you have some time schedules when you have to report something.
Sure, of course.
And so maybe it was a bunch of that kind of stuff, but I didn't think it was anything like this.
And now, of course, you have Marlon Kempson as the senator from District 42. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what is it like to see him in that position?
Well, it's refreshing. And I always was open to the fact that maybe somebody younger than I am, might need to be the senator. And so, because this is a different time in a lot of ways, although I think I'm really capable and I have a different kind of approach to life, where I'm able to bridge those gaps,
right.
and I can move between the generations.
Right.
But that's not a bad thing. And then, of course, Marlon's trained as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he's got the right kind of aptitude and attitude naturally, that instinctively, that he inquires and asks questions. And he's got the energy to be places where he needs to be.
Yes.
That's really important too, man.
And let's talk about performance, because you ran unopposed in 2010. Tell me, what was that ride like?
You know, I don't run unopposed really. I have to run against apathy. And so, even when I'm up for re-election,
right.
you see my signs out, or you see me moving around.
Yeah.
Because people need to know that, wait a minute, this, you know, it's not a birthright, me doing what I'm doing. That I'm an elected official and I'm your representative.
Sure.
And you need to know what's going on. And you need to show up and elect me every time. But it certainly helps me to stay connected with people.
Right.
Because if I show up and I'm unopposed, I'm not showing up because I need to roll. I'm showing up because I'm serving. And that's always a good place to be.
Yeah. Someone who performed well until she stepped aside during the last presidential election in 2008 was Hillary Clinton. And I know that you and your wife actually supported her for a while. Yeah. And there's a lot of buzz that she might run again this year.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, will that buzz lead to another endorsement for her?
Possibly. You know, but I still have to reserve my judgment right now, because we need to see what's going on. I mean, you know, our Clinton campaign is always going to be a tough campaign.
Okay.
Because of what they were involved with in the old skeletons and all that kind of stuff. So there's always going to be a lot of white water, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And so you got to say, well, can she make it through all of this?
Yeah.
And I think that's my concern right now. Can we make it through all of this stuff? Because she's certainly capable, and she's got the understanding, and she is insightful.
Yeah.
And she's courageous. You might not always agree, we might not agree, but she's courageous, and she'll do something that she feels needs to be done. So we'll see. It'd be nice to have a lady president, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
And right after now President Barack Obama's election,
yes,
a tragedy struck your family.
Yeah.
Take me back down memory lane to December.
Well, I have pictures of Jasiri following that.
Yeah.
Because you know he was an Obama supporter from day one.
Wow.
And I have pictures of him watching the returns come in.
Wow.
And so we were able to celebrate that together.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. And so you know, it is what it is.
But take me back down memory lane to December 12th. How did that day start and how did it end?
Well, the accident actually happened on December 11th. And so it was a rainy day, moderately cold, a very rainy day. Wow. And it was just one of those things that happens. You just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think if you saw his car, I tell anybody, if you saw his car, you would never think that somebody died in that accident. You would never think that a person died in that accident.
And to this day, how do you keep his memory alive?
The community does that for me. Yeah. You know, the School of Arts have a scholarship that they give us.
Right.
They give it every year, and the kids raise the money most of the time.
Okay.
We have a foundation at the Community Foundation that gives a deserving young person a 4-year scholarship. And I see those people from time to time. Turns out that the very first recipient of that award, her grandfather, used to do my yard work for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it just so happened that it worked out like that.
God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. And the next recipient, her grandfather and her grandmother both grew up with me when I was in high school.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It really is.
And she's pre-med.
That's good.
She's pre-med at the University of South Carolina. She has almost a 4-point grade point average, taking biology, chemistry, all that good stuff. She spent this summer in Africa and South Africa.
Okay.
Touring and visiting health sites, young people's health sites, and being involved with government.
That's
So those are the two recipients so far. So there's been some really talented people who've gotten that scholarship. So that keeps his memory alive in a sweet way, of course. And we hear stories from people. That's why I said the community keeps on. I mean, I get stories. There's a man that owns a florist here, Frederick's Florist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He talks about how Jasiri is doing his North Charleston stories, and his hand-to-hand stories.
Right.
Just walked in and interviewed him one day. Said, I want to do a story because I know how long you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And he said that story actually was seen by folks out of state, and his business really took off well with out of state business as a result of that.
That is awesome.
Isn't that something?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, that's a good thing. So I'm happy to know that some of the comments that me and his mother made to him, and talking to him about being a member of the community and being able to serve and use your talents and giving back, that some of it took root.
Finish these sentences for me. Marion Carey in 1984.
Marion Carey in 1984. That was a big deal.
Yes.
I thought it was kind of late, really. I got married. I went back to law school 32 years.
Right.
So Marion Carey was a big deal, but then not so big a deal because we had been together so long, and so we just kind of fell right into it.
Yeah. Your mother and father are.
My mother and father are really, I owe so much to them because they have always been supportive,
Right.
have always shown me a good example of how to relate to people, and they've always been servants of other people.
That is true.
Yeah, and so that passes down. We take that to heart.
That is good to hear. North Charleston is.
North Charleston is the new one of the last frontiers, along with the South in general.
Yeah.
North Charleston is one of the last frontiers. I hope we can get it right.
Yeah.
We're doing some things that are right. I think we need to do more for affordable housing.
Sure.
I think we need to do more for infrastructure.
Okay.
I think we need to do more for recreation in all areas because we want to have a happy city.
Yeah.
And I think these things make a happy city.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Seth Whipper, the politician, is.
Seth Whipper, the politician, is no more than Seth Whipper, your neighbor.
Okay. Seth Whipper, the lawyer, is.
No more than Seth Whipper, your lawyer. Yeah, your neighbor. Because really, as a lawyer, I try to be on tap and not on top.
Right.
And as you can see, my office is right in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I feel like I'm serving.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, your college years at USC were.
Interesting. And I came to USC at a very, very interesting time in the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah.
The Civil Rights struggle.
Yeah.
There were less than 0.5% of the students at USC in that campus were black. So it was a very, very interesting time. And I really give a lot of credit to USC for giving me the opportunity to get a college degree. I really owe them a great deal.
Going to North Carolina Central University was.
Oh man, that was one of the high points of my life. Studying law, yeah, in an environment that's nurturing and encouraging, man, it was great. I mean, almost in a way, it's like doing law my way, in a sense, in that, you could be yourself.
Sure.
It was great. I would recommend Central to anybody.
Okay, that's good.
Great law school.
Yes, indeed. And your future will be?
My future will be. It's still unfolding. Okay. I'm an old guy, but it's still unfolding. Okay. We still are looking for ways to serve. Sure. And I'm trying to keep in mind that I am really responsible for a lot of younger individuals. I'm one of these people who I don't try to be what I'm not. Okay. And so I'm not a young man like Quintin. I'm not going to dress like you. I'm not going to ever be as good as you are with technology. Okay. But I have to learn how to use that technology because I need to be able to communicate and also need to be able to take in what the world has to offer. But my future is really, I like it. It's challenging. Yeah. Keeps you busy? Oh man, it keeps me busy. It's challenges, I'm staying busy. And again, like I said, things I want to see happen. That's some of the things I just mentioned when you talked about North Charleston. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Seth Whipper, this was so great. Thank you so much. Yes, sir, Ms. Washington. Thank you for doing this and allowing me to be on your program. Anytime. You have a great program. I like the way you handle things. You're very insightful in your interviewing. You must get some work on me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.